It's 5 o'clock here in Europe, Sheila. Maybe we can start.
We can start. I was just going to say, I think it's 11 here.
Yeah.
So hello, everyone who has joined. We're excited to have you here. I'll kick us off. So let me share our screen and we'll do a little bit of intros. Maybe we can do those first. I'm Sheila Schultz. I'm with Realize Agile LLC, but as part of my role, I serve as director of PEDCO Americas. So I work here with Peter Pedross. Peter, do you want to say hello?
Hello, I'm Peter Pedross. I'm CEO of PEDCO. And I'm joining you from Switzerland in Zurich.
Fantastic. I will share my screen and kick us off then. Just see. Hopefully you all can see the material I have here. I will share it on the big screen. All right. Just doing a check. Peter, can you see the screen here?
Yes, I see the screen, and we wanted to tell the participants that they will get the slide deck after the webinar, so you don't have to take screenshots or many notes of it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, welcome everyone to our webinar regarding empowering agile transformations with software platforms and tools. We kind of see, or I see, software platforms and tools really as something that can positively aid and enable business agile transformation. So we're excited to talk with you today on that topic. We are videoing this, as you may see. So in addition to the slides, you'll be able to relay back the video for any information you'd like to see again. So with that, I will kick us off to our exciting topics today. We'll introduce the topic of scaled agile transformations, including in a lot of the areas we work, which are regulated environments, which will lead us into some of our tools that we are connected with, one of them being Applied Safe, which I will cover. And then aligned with that, we've got some new artificial intelligence technology, and in particular, a tool called AI Companion. And I'm excited about it as well, and Peter will go through the details of that. Next, we'll cover AuditPro, which is a new emerging product. I'm actually really super excited about this. This is intended to be an artificial intelligence, at least applying artificial intelligence to the auditing activity and compliance. So we have some new things coming there. And then Peter will round us up with ASQMS. This is a new standard that has emerged for those selling to China from an automotive perspective. And as part of that, we are involved in new emerging things from a tool perspective there as well. And then we'll close out with some time for Q&A. So I'm excited, and let's get started. So I don't know about you all. When you think about company or the company you're at and changing from maybe a more traditional process perspective to trying to operate in a fast-paced, continuous, agile way, the journey to get there can sometimes be interesting and fun. And you may start off and think, wow, I've got this plan, I'm going to go from here to here. But if you think about it and you look at the two pictorials here, I know my particular experience is more like the bottom. The reality for me was more a fun journey, exciting journey, many obstacles, many challenges, fun things to overcome as you try to move to a different way of working. And I know a lot of the companies we encounter also have similar real experiences where it's not such a direct, smooth ride. There's a lot of things to work through as you're trying to bring forth a new way of operating in a faster paced, continuous development, agile way. And as such, Peter and I, part of our activities are really there to try and help navigate this. We have tools and things coming that, we're intending to help companies and those that are really trying to navigate this journey, this road to a different approach, an agile approach. as you look around the environment that we work in, Peter and I cross many industries in the work we do. Some of you might be from automotive or from aero. You can look across many med tech, fintech, defense as well. And you can see that the environment is really being impacted. There's a lot of digital disruption going on in every industry. And through all these different companies, there are a lot of common themes, a common things that those organizations have challenges to try and or overcome. And you can see some of them listed here. Some of these might look familiar to you. You're trying to do a digital transformation of an organization. How do you secure that? At the same time, you've got complicated systems of systems. You've got a growing number of teams and trying to coordinate across all these teams. And then on top of that, you've got AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning coming. You have cybersecurity to consider. You have things to consider in terms of your approach changing from having everything fully specified up front to sort of defining what the intent of what you want to do is. And then, of course, there's processes that your organization has. There's different life cycles within an organization that people might be operating on that you have to account for. And on top of all this, I think probably if you look across the left-hand side, a lot of these industries have regulations and standards. So you as an organization may need to show you're consistent with or compliant with different standards that are out there. So certainly digital disruption is affecting all these different industries, and there's some common themes across them. Let's talk about one of them in particular, artificial intelligence. I think all of us have seen that. It's present all around us. And the intent that we see it being used for is it brings efficiency, innovation, and improvement to the quality of what we're doing. It can have new opportunities. It can certainly help in solving complex problems. And really, it can bring competitive advantage in your spaces. So you'll hear some of the things we're doing in AI a little bit later. But if you're really not familiar with how advanced AI, I thought I would show just to give you a glimpse of the kinds of innovations that are out there. A video that I know Peter and I have used and find interesting in terms of speech-to-speech reasoning as one example of an area that's really evolving. So let me jump over to that. I tried to pre-open it so that it would not have commercials at the beginning. Let's take a look at this. Hopefully, can you all hear and see this, hopefully?
I don't hear it yet.
Oh, you don't? Okay. We may have to have a setting for it to highlight. All right. Do you want me to continue doing it or
Or we go fast forward through the video and you can comment or I can comment about it. And
yeah, maybe I'll just comment that what's really cool is as you go through this video, and it'll be in your material so you can take a look at it. We have someone here who is asking questions to our artificial intelligence robot here. It asks it to pick out something that is, food. And so it's smart enough to understand that and to pick out an apple. It later in the video talks about can you take the things that are kitchen appliances and stack them appropriately. And further in the video, it asks the human asks our robot here, what'd you learn? What did you learn through this process? And it's able to understand and relay and really talk as if it was understanding what we were saying to it. So this video will be in the material you get. And it's really just quite fascinating to see where technology has come. And that's kind of my quick glimpse of it. I don't know, Peter, if you had anything else that you took away when you've seen this video yourself.
Yeah, also the movements of the arms and the robotics itself. It recognized the plates and where to put it, and it's really amazing. So this is not guided by wires or something like that. It's really the robot, and this just came out in April this year, and it's amazing how far they got already.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So I recommend take a look at it when you get a chance and you get the material here. So again, just talking about AI in the environment, how it can be helpful, things that are evolving so quickly in this space. We see it in our areas, and this is just one example that's really cool to look at. All right, let me continue. Another thing, so we talked about AI out there, digital disruption. You also have technology changing. So take a peek at the left-hand pictorial here. And there's a lot happening here, but this is real life today. You know, you may have, let's just take a peek at it. You may have people, so there's pedestrians all around here. You may have people on a regular bike. You may have people on an e-bike, maybe, you know, some type of electrified bike. You got buses. And then on top of that, you may have maybe traditional technology vehicles. And then you have vehicles that may have some level of ADAS, advanced driver assistance systems, or automated driving. It looks like the vehicle in the middle here is fully autonomous. And then on top of all that, you've got all communications, you got cameras, you got satellites, you got all different communications happening. And when you really think about it, all of these advancements really have to comprehend safety and security measures. And this is obviously an automotive example, but this is similar in other industries. You really got to consider safety, cybersecurity, and ensure that the functional integrity is really there, and that we're, protected against cyber threats. So really important to not only take advantage of, say, things like artificial intelligence, but also to really make sure that the technology we're using, is comprehending these things that we need to do from a safety and cybersecurity perspective. And so now we've got technology, we've got AI, we've got all this digital disruption, and you also, on top of that, have standards. You may have regulation standards, and they're really put there for a reason. They're not there to be a burden and make you do something. They're there because there's something has happened, there's been a safety thing, there's potential that there could be. And so these standards have been developed really to be helpful. And this is an automotive example, but one is, in the functional safety area, there's a standard called ISO 26262. In the areas where there's this new autonomous driving and advanced driver features, there's a standard called ISO 21448, which is safety of the intended function. And then there's standards around software. So ASPICE is a software related standard that's out there. There's actually versions of SPICE without automotive that apply to other industries as well. And you can see some of the things that you have to consider as we go through this, safety, security, and making sure that you adhere to these processes. So while you're trying to bring in a new approach of being fast-paced and agile, you got the environment changing, you've got new technology, you also have to consider and comprehend how, while you're doing all that, you still ensure these things meet regulations and standards. And I would say on top of all that, quality. I mean, quality, you have to put out a quality product that's kind of standard for no matter how your process is, whether it's a traditional or a very fast-paced agile process. And quality has been a topic, you probably heard about it for years and years. It's an expectations from your customers that you provide the various attributes that are listed here, as part of your product. So you must include quality when you're moving towards a more agile approach. And on top of that, so you're trying to move to be agile. You may have a very large company. How do I approach this? There are many frameworks that are out there that could help you as a company move to a more agile approach. This happens to be a scaled agile framework. This picture I'm showing here, it's the #1 framework for scaled agility. And it's the one that Peter and I work with in terms of the tools we have. And really, scaled agile framework is there. It's a set of principles and practices for implementing agile methodology. That's really what it's intended to do. And if you're not familiar, maybe you are, but I'll give you the quick few second overview from my perspective of the picture on the left-hand side. This is called the big picture. It's really to describe in a pictorial what scaled agile framework is. And if you take a peek at it, it's a lot of content in here, and you can find out a lot more information, get a lot more educated on this framework. But this left-hand side here are really, those are core competencies that help you when you're trying to move to an agile approach. The right-hand side here are really things that are intended to help you with execution or alignment while you're moving to an agile approach. And then on the bottom here, there's highlights of these are principles, these are lean agile leadership things that need to be accounted for. So you kind of have foundational things that help you as you move towards an agile approach or a fast-paced continuous development approach. And then the core of the activities are reflected in sort of 3 rows here. The bottom here is all the teamwork. So you got Scrum teams, you got small teams that are trying to execute the actual work. And then you have larger teams called an Agile release train that coordinate all this work and are set up to really help with this continuous development. So you have your teams, you have small and a little bit larger teams. And then in some companies and some enterprises or organizations, they're very, very big. And they also need what we would call maybe a solution level that helps you coordinate across the different Agile release trains. So there's activities and work that can help you with navigate that cross integration and coordination. And then at the top, your enterprise should have a portfolio. It should really be helping you drive value and large stream initiatives that are aligned with all of the work that's happening. So at a high level, 1-minute view, that's kind of my quick sum of, scaled agile framework. It's the framework we use as we go in and talk about the quality management systems associated with this. There's core values, certainly transparency, alignment, respect for people, and relentless improvement that, of course, are important and associated with the scaled agile framework. And for more information, you can go out online and really learn a lot more details about that if you're interested. Now, on top of a framework, and we highlighted one of them that's out there, really it's important to have a quality management system. If you're not familiar with a quality management system, it's really the structured framework of processes, procedures, the responsibilities, who's got to do what, that exists for an organization. And on the top here, this is an example of quality management systems that many of us may be familiar with. They're a little bit more of a traditional approach where up front you kind of define your concept and your requirements, and then that feeds or leads to the design, and then that sequentially leads to, hey, we're going to do development implementation, and then finally it's validated. It's what they call a waterfall approach. And this approach, it's something that we see evolving when you move to be more agile. The work now is changing. It's being done in smaller increments, and you still have to do all these important things, but now you're doing them in a shorter period of time and growing your solution incrementally. So we call that a lean quality management system. You're taking all the important things you need to do, and now you're building the solution incrementally. You're organizing around value and quality as you're doing these smaller increments. And of course, you're along the way verifying and validating. So as you saw the framework for agility, now you've got also to comprehend, how do I do this from a quality management system in a lean way? And that's where we have got a tool. It's actually a software platform that can help aid in this area. It's actually what we would call an implementation of Scaled Agile framework as a quality management system or tool. And on the left here, I will go over to the tool here shortly and show you it, but you'll see the framework and a pictorial of when you get into our software platform. It's really intended to help accelerate and consolidate your safe transformation. It's set up so you can customize it for your different groups within your organization and for your company. It allows you, it has hooks to allow you to demonstrate consistency or compliance with different regulations. And of course, it fosters learning and innovation in your organization. And I'll just highlight one more thing here. This is a little bit more details on what is actually the lean quality management system. What does it include? And we'll go out and see some of these in just a second. It is a platform that helps and has defined the roles, the activities, the templates, the guidelines, the metrics, milestones, all these things to help you take from here. I want to do this framework. I want to move faster. I also want to be able to do this with a lean quality management system. We combine those two together into this platform. It's kept consistent with the very latest and greatest of the Scaled Agile framework. In fact, last week, the Scaled Agile framework made some adjustments and some new things coming with their version, and we are currently working to make updates so that our tool will be completely synced with that. It allows you to integrate within a company with what you already have, whether you have knowledge in different repositories or whether you have your processes that some of you still may want to connect to. So you can do all of that. It's again tailoring to the different groups within your organization. And I would say it also has these hooks or mechanisms to be able to be used in regulatory environments. So it's Scaled Agile framework as a lean quality management system. And I am going to jump really quickly and show you the tool. And as I do that, I will comment and say that, certainly if you want more detailed or thorough review of the tool, I can do that, or Peter can do that for you. I will show you it in brief here, just at a very high level. So I've opened the tool. I pre-opened some things so that this would be quick. As you see here, this is the homepage or of my sandbox area. So, I'm Realize Agile, and I have a sandbox area that I'm working in. This is reflective of what a company would see when they go into our Applied Safe tool. One thing you can see is there's capabilities to use different versions of the Agile framework. The one that I showed the pictorial of was the most comprehensive. Many larger enterprises use that full safe configuration. But if you're a smaller company, you might use a different version, maybe Essential Safe. So there are 4 different variants of the Applied Safe that you can use. You can use multiple versions within a company as well. For demo, I'm going to show you the full safe configuration. So I click on this and I will open it here. And as you see here, this should look familiar. This is the pictorial I just showed you. So this is the framework foundation that now we will go in and explore a little further the processes, procedures, roles, and responsibilities associated with it. And I will have to go down here just so I can click the link here. There we go. All righty, so we are gonna, oh, let me go back one. I missed showing you something. So if I'm somebody wanting to say, look at a team, say I want to look a little deeper at what are the different activities within that the teams have to do. You can zoom in on this area here. So I'm going to do that for our demo. And when I zoom in, you can take a bit closer look at the team level of different activities that need to be done. And as part of that, maybe you're someone that's, hey, I'm getting ready. I've got the next maybe 8 to 10 weeks of activities coming up. We're going to host what they call a program increment planning session or planning event that we need to collectively as a group get together and decide what we're doing for the next 8 or 10 weeks. So how might I do that? What would be the things that need to happen around that? So I'll click into here and we'll go in a little bit closer and see. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to move this down. All right. So I am now into the PI planning phase of the activities within an Agile approach. And this has taken the framework and now added in the flow of activities, who needs to do what, and so forth. Let me kind of walk through it a little bit on the details here. If you're interested in what exactly do I need to do from a program increment or planning perspective, there's a lot of details outlined that you can learn about. At the top here, you can see a flow of activities. There's a sequence of events that can happen, that need to happen. And there's sort of, in some cases, some of the activities may feed other activities. So it's important to see what needs to be done. So these are the what's and sort of the flow of, or the sequence of those what's. And you may notice on the left here, these are roles. So these are who may need to do these different activities. And then at the top, I'm going to scan over just a little bit, depending on the particular area you're looking at in terms of activity, you'll see what phases they occur in. In this particular case, planning phase is where all these activities need to occur. There's different views, and if we do a more detailed review, you can see kind of some of the different views that we could look at as well. And I'll show just one more thing. If you deep dive, you can look at, okay, I need to do these specific tasks or activities. What would be involved in that? So maybe I'll click on one of those. And we'll go to this one's present, context, and vision. Well, I go in here and I can see a description of that. I can see where my activity falls in the flow. And then really important, I can see the different inputs needed. What would help me in doing this? What do I need to produce? And then, gosh, I need, some help here and guidance and practices, how to do it. And so on the right-hand side here, you can see in this particular case, there's a lot of different things that could help you understand how to do these. And for all of our tasks, we've got similar type of description, inputs, outputs, practices, and then of course you can see where it falls in the flow. So I could go into a lot more detail, but for today, I think that's where I will close it. And I'm going to turn it over to Peter now, and we'll talk about some of the artificial intelligence capabilities and things coming. So Peter, do you want to take it over there?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. Just tell me if you see my screen.
I do. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Just let me move that over here. Yeah. So, yeah, and so we have a quality management system. This has been the typical answer for the last 20 years for how to really describe how people should work and what their obligations are, where they're responsible for, where they're accountable. And this is something really that has been proven and works. And it is a very good solution. It's a very good thing to do, but to be honest, there are some typical problems we face with quality management systems. And the fun fact is that the intended users, these are the workers, the employees in a company, the engineers, they have a little problems of using a quality management system. And because usually they're under time pressure, they get lost if they navigate in there. They do that like once a week and not every day. And sometimes they don't have patience to model there. So what they usually do is they go here, they ask some private friends. Let me just show the pointer. They ask some experts known on the other desk and say, hey, how did you do that the last time? Or they go on YouTube and instead of reading the real instructions, they Google problems, look for a good hit is the worst case. Or nowadays they ask GPT, how would you resolve testing in functional safety? And you will get an answer, but it's probably not the one which the company wants, which is built on an organizational learning. So we want them to get the knowledge from the quality management system. We have seen, if we move to business agility and scaled agile transformations, that the coaches are coming from externally as well. So they may even don't know all the practices which are placed in a company. So we need to find answers very fast. And that's why we came up with all those and AI capabilities additional to Applied Safe. And of course, those who produce the quality management systems, the quality management team, the LACE teams, the quality process engineers, they all love the quality management system. And usually they don't understand why it's not used as it is intended to be used. So we come up to close that gap, and we use AI to increase the efficiency of and the effectiveness of these described processes to be used in the quality management system. So it's a large amount of teams. We have companies, they have thousands of people using Applied Safe in the same time, and they should all work coordinately. So we come up with 3 tools. The first tool which we have is a so-called AI companion. It's a little bit like a chatbot. I will show it to you just in a minute. This is based solely on the whole implementation of Applied Safe. And it's on the customer-specific Applied Safe. It's not on the public version. Although that what I'm showing to you is the public version. So it comes up with follow-up questions. Perplexity AI has taken that over as well. And of course, it offers backlink to the origin of the source of the knowledge. Then, of course, if you're in regulated environments, you also have to prove and to make sure that people really understand their roles. And we use AI for that as well, so that we can provide personalized learning content. So there are questionnaires generated per role, and also answers are collected per role and per user. So we see if they really have the knowledge to perform their role. And if not, then it will suggest appropriate training for that person. And then, of course, we have new quality management systems. I will talk about that in a minute. And if you want to make sure that you are all fulfilling those regulatory requirements, this can be a very tedious and long-term handish job. And there is also AI which can support you, but Sheila will present that. So without further ado, I would like to jump to the companion. We have some screenshots prepared here as well, but I think it's much cooler to show it in the reality. So therefore, I'm going also to the cloud, and we are here on the Applied Safe. This is again, so here now the companion. And Sheila showed something about the PI planning, and something that we do is talking about team PI objectives. So maybe I would like to ask why, I'm just writing it down on the lower corner on the left, why should I work with PI objectives in Applied Safe? You can write it in any kind of language you want. It even works in Chinese or whatever, and the answer will be in your language. So if I wrote Spanish, French, or German, it will answer in that language. And the answer is just a very short description. Funny enough, I showed it in Spanish this morning. Yeah. please answer in German. No English. So let me answer that. So I just said, hey, do it in English. Okay, now we have the same thing in English. And it will keep answering in English. Yeah. So you have seen the multi-language capability without intent. So what the answer is now is just a short answer. We wanted to make sure that the people are not really taking that for 100% granted. What we see here in the companion, it's just helping you to get somewhere that we can understand what it is, what we shall do, and it always points back to the citation to the quality management system where the reality is. So for example, what they're doing in the iteration planning, or we have the PI objectives as a work product, we have some team PI objectives, and I can look that up and I can navigate there. I will do that in a minute. But I also can, let's go there. I click on the team PI objective and it points me directly into Applied Safe where that is residing in. So I can really see here, this is the content. And what I really love and which is really cool is that I can put them on a split screen, or if you have two screens, it's even better then I have like a system which can give me answers to what I'm writing and I just see the content. So what the companion can also do is I can say, hey, this was a good answer, this was a bad answer. If there are a lot of bad answers, then we have to retrain probably. Or we can say, hey, there are follow-up questions. So I could ask, what are the steps to create PI planning objectives during PI planning? Now, all of a sudden it talks about PI planning, and this is like a personal coach. So it's really your personal experience learning. And we had some customers which told us, hey, that was like a self-learning platform for me. I really could learn Applied Safe from that. And of course, you are saving on safe coaches and safe consultants with a system like that as well. And it helps you really that the people are interacting with the quality management system. So here it's talking about present context and vision. This was one of the activities that Sheila has shown, and it will stop very soon with the answer, and then I can navigate there hopefully as well. That's what I expect. So create art PI objectives. So I see that there are even different kind of PI objectives and team PI objectives and art PI objectives. So I see, there's an art PI objective. Let's see what that is. And if I click now, it will just show it to me in Applied Safe with the text and how this is done. And of course, I can also see in which activity this is used. So this is used here in the activity create art PI objective. And then I see who has been responsible, which tool is used. Then back that PI planning process. So this is really something that is very interactive and helping in getting the content to the people which are not using that system every day. So it's a very natural. It's like asking your colleague or your companion, which helps you in getting into Applied Safe to answer your answer. And of course, this is built on the company implementation of Applied Safe. So if you talk about functional safety, it will have your measures, your practices, your tools included there. With that, I think I've shown enough of the companion. I will go back to the slides. And of course, you get that in the materials. So you have that as well. It points back to the Applied Safe. And I already shown that, so you can do regular updates in maintenance, so you're always on the newest version. Some of our clients, they are publishing new versions of Applied Safe after every PI cycle, and they have new learnings, so it's natural that you have new versions of Applied Safe as well. And with that combined, what we see, what we got as data, as feedback from our customers, and these are based on facts from our case studies. Our customers told us, hey, with such a quality management system, with Applied Safe in place, we have 67% less discussion time needed to interpret safe, because there are so many discussions which we just can cut through, because we say, hey, here it's defined, it's this role, it's this work product with this tool, please do it. So and this works really fine. But of course, if you have new hires, the ramp-up time will be dramatically reduced, up to 2/3 what we heard from our customers. And of course, every company can build such a quality management system from scratch by themselves, but it will take at least 2 years. So you save the cost of delay, and it's a tremendous effort. So it's about 30 to 40 person years to building such a system, and you can cut through that with Applied Safe. And the newest number, which we have seen down here, is now coming from our consulting partners, and they told us, hey, with the application of Applied Safe and the companion and everything we are providing with Applied Safe, we can reduce our effort for consulting and coaching by 25%. And this is a very large cost reduction, because you can imagine you need several coaches per train, and you can reduce them by 25%. So this is a very large saving on a transformation towards scaled agility. Then, of course, you can also master the complexity. The Scaled Agile framework is a huge platform, it's a huge framework. It is full of options where it says if you need a system team, then you use it or you take it away, use participatory budgeting or not. And these questions are already built in, and you just can tailor it accordingly to your real instance of your endeavor. So if you have hardware, for example, you will have hardware practices there. If you don't build hardware, it won't be shown in your instance of Applied Safe. And this is really important. And then, of course, we can establish compliance to various regulatory requirements. And then I told about the role-based training. This is just some slides. So based on your implementation of the Scaled Agile framework with Applied Safe, you will take some of the roles, and based on the processes defined, it will come up with some questionnaires. So what is about the key role of the RT in the context of PI planning? Then you can answer it and just submit an answer. And depending if it's wrong or right, it will help you with an explanation, and it will also be recorded. So we can really make sure that the skills are trained for that. With that, I would like to give back to Sheila for the AuditPro.
Fantastic. Thank you. Let me make the screen bigger here. So I will just comment too. I took benefit from the companion tool, the AI tool myself, when I was trying to learn Applied Safe, and I continue to use it. So it's really helpful. At least I've found myself. All right. So another really cool, exciting thing I wanted to talk about is auditing and compliance. And if we deep dive that just a little bit, there's a famous quote out there that says, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." It's by Peter Drucker. And, I think it's intending to say, wow, culture really takes precedence over for determination of success. And likewise, we hear in some of our regulatory industries, gosh, you can't do Agile and compliance together. Or some would say compliance eats Agile for lunch, kind of similar to the Peter Drucker comment. But is that really true? I think Peter and I, working with both Agile and compliance, actually see that they're complementary. They're really something where you can be Agile, work fast-paced, be continuous development, and you can also have compliance or consistency with regulations and standards that are out there. In fact, they're complementary together. So as we move forward, that's a mindset transition that we certainly are trying to have people consider and make sure that they realize you can do both. If you look in regulatory environments, some of you may be from across different industries, there's a lot of regulations. There's just a few listed here, some of the ones that we've worked with across automotive, aero, and so forth. And there are common themes in regulatory environments. They all have to have quality, managed processes, established quality management systems. These regulations really have these themes. Safety, security, all important. We've kind of talked a little bit about some of that. Effectiveness. You want what you're doing to be there to reduce waste, do exactly what you need. Traceability. It's important to have process and product compliance or consistency and traceability of what you're doing. And of course, things have to be verified, validated. And if you're working in areas where you have a lot of contractors or suppliers, certainly collaboration is important when you're moving towards agile approaches. So these are important in regulatory environments. The standards have these consistent or common themes across them. And as you're trying to adhere to these, we have internally, in many cases, you have an internal way to try and check if you're really consistent with them, or in some standards require you to actually have a confirmed auditor come in and confirm that you're meeting these standards. So we were trying to think about how could we take all this artificial intelligence and help in this space. What are the problems we're trying to solve when you're really trying to look at auditing? And I know from my personal past experience, I've been audited. I've had groups in my team that were responsible for auditing. And some of the things that I think we could benefit from moving forward is improving upon the manual process, helping in terms of how much time it takes to do these audits. And of course, in auditing, because it's manual, in many cases, there's potential for inconsistencies and errors as you go through and try to do a check of, are you doing all the right things that you're intending to support the standard or the regulation? So with that, we are currently piloting, and really excited about it, a tool called PEDCO's AuditPro. And really the intent is to help with automated compliance checks, to be able to look at your data in a graphical way, to be able to take criteria such as standards and do assessments compared to your data. And then to be able to produce a report and say, hey, here's the areas where you might need to focus more as an organization. And of course, looking at it across different types of organizations, so it could be tailored for any size or complexity. So this is what we are currently piloting. Intent, of course, efficiency, to certainly reduce the compliance check time that in many cases is manual. Of course, ensure accuracy, be able to scale it, and as a result of all of this, it should be beneficial in terms of reducing cost. And I personally like this slide because it helps me understand how this might work. If you're like many companies, you may have your data in many different formats. We'd call this unstructured data. You may have some of your process or your knowledge in Word, in PowerPoint, in Excel. You might have Stages as your process tool. You might go out to the web and use things in the web. We have all this data. And the idea of the AI tool is to take that, pull it together in what we would call a knowledge map or a knowledge graph, find the common or similar content and group it into communities. And as a result of doing all that, be able to structure the data. So you basically take your unstructured data and you move it to something that's structured, and now you can use to help you compare against criteria. So we take that structured data and then we look at standards. The one we're focusing on right now is ASPICE, but you're going to hear about one that Peter's going to talk about that is next in line in terms of how we might apply this kind of technology. But you can compare it, you can find and drill down into the data and ultimately create a report that can help you identify areas that you might need to focus on as an organization. This is just a sample example of where we're going in terms of our pilot capabilities and showing you, you can show where you've maybe fully achieved to areas that you might need to focus on. And with that, oh yes, and just to kind of sum it up, Peter talked about AI. I've talked about AI applied to the auditing area. The AI tools here were really intended to help with continuous improvement and better understanding at an organizational level, whether it's your how you're doing relative to standards, whether it's helping you in terms of what process things need to happen, where you're getting stuck, where there might be inconsistencies out there. And we're really looking forward to how AI may help us in general in our agile approaches and in our regulatory environments. And with that, I will turn it over to Peter to talk about this new emerging standard and, again, some of the work we're doing in this area.
Very good. So tell me when you see my screen. So this should have worked. Yes.
I see it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good. And yeah, I'm talking about a brand new standard, which is called the ASQMS, which stands for Automotive Software Quality Management System Standard. And this is a brand new standard imposed by the government, by the Republic of China, to all their automotive and OEMs and suppliers. And it will also be rolled out internationally, and this is just has been presented 1 week ago, 7 days ago in China at the conference, where it has been announced that it will be the basic for the software-defined vehicle industry in China. So we have BOD, Gacy, Geely, all these large companies already on board, and it's imposed and controlled by the government, by the state of China. So if you want to do business in the future as a supplier, for example, or as an OEM, you have to fulfill those requirements as well. And what they're looking for is that they are improving, talking about the quality which they perceive. It's not about the quality of the hardware of the car, but it's the quality of the perceived quality. So how does it work? How does it interrelate with me? How does it connect with my mobile phone, with my provider, and so forth? And in the old world, it was like that we have ASPICE, CTAF, ISO 26262. It was something that the OEM imposed on the suppliers, and the clients just interacted with the OEMs, and that's it. So in the future now, it's much more interrelated, and there are many gears which are chaining into each other. So we have the OEM, suppliers, clients. We have an infrastructure. We have different clients of the infrastructures. We have digital service providers. We have pedestrians. We have bicyclers. All these different stops. So in this new world, there are many, many parties which have to work together. And of course, this requires that the state, so the Republic of China and China, is really pushing and controlling that it's really conform to these regulations. And of course, you have never seen that standard so far because it's not out there yet, or it's only since a week. So it has these key features. So you need to have a quality management system defined, something like you have seen with Applied Safe. Then it talks about the whole software lifecycle coverage. So if you're doing Agile, you will be fine with Applied Safe. If you do Waterfall, you need to have something else as well. And it's for the in the vehicle, but also for the off the vehicle software. You need to have classifications. If you do functional safety, you know about ASIL, no problems, but this is also something that you have to take into consideration. You talk about flexibility. It's clear that it needs to be tailored, that you have one common model, probably based on the V model, but each endeavor will be its own version and its own life cycle, probably. It asks you for having the bill of materials, talks about the maintenance process and user and data security. We already talked about that security feature. So this is really something that is imposed on the whole industry in China and at the end for the whole industry worldwide. And of course, we are already working on that. I thought I can show it today, but it's not finished yet. So it will be soon in PEDCO AuditPro as well. So we can take any kind of quality management system and compare it to ASQMS, and we will come up with a report for that where there is something to be done to meet all these key features of this brand new standard. This is really exciting and all brand new, so it's subject to change, but it's really something that we are working on. We have reserved some time for questions, ideas, and discussions. And if you have further questions after the meeting and after the webinar, get in contact with us. You have here our coordinates. We are always here to show you and to discuss much, much further into the details. Sheila, something to add?
No, just thanks everyone for participating. And if you do have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A and we'll hang here and address any questions. Also, if anyone would like any further follow-up, as Peter mentioned, we're happy to meet with you and provide any additional details.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will stop the recording now and we will take the answers so that it's a little bit more personal. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.